You work so hard in your business and you deserve to be paid for what you're doing.
Welcome to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast with Mariana C. Ruiz, the podcast for the go-getter mom entrepreneur who refuses to let motherhood slow her down from achieving success and making an impact. Tune in Mondays to learn the success secrets of top influencers who also happen to be moms so that you can reach the success, freedom, and impact you desire.
This episode of the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast is brought to you by my Freedom Coaching Program. Are you serious about making a full-time living with your business? Then get ready to implement the strategies that get you real results in less time. I will support you 110% for 6 months to create a business that has real results and real profits. In just 6 months, you'll have a business that's consistently generating leads, making an impact online, and bringing in cash to not only support the business itself, but also to support your family, all from the comfort of your own home, so that you have the freedom to spend as much or as little time with your children as you want to. And not just that, I have had clients who have gone from a brand new business idea to paying clients in just 3 weeks, as well as clients who have had their first 5K month within the first month of working together. So if this sounds like something that would benefit you, head on over to marianacruiz.com and click on the Work With Me tab. There you'll find all of the information about the program, as well as a link to my scheduling app so that you can go ahead and schedule a time to see if working together would be a good fit for both of us. So head on over to marianacruiz.com and click on the Work With Me tab. Okay, now back to the show.
Hey there, and welcome to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast. In this episode, I want to talk about how to manage money in your business. This is such an important topic, and it came about because my husband's cousin, she is starting her first business, and I'm really excited because I feel like I've really gotten her excited about what's possible working from home, and she just had a little baby, and so she decided to start working from home and building her own business. And so she came to me this week with some interesting and important questions that I realized I have never created content around this. And so I wanted to share that information with you here today. And first, I want to give you a brief disclaimer. I'm not a lawyer or an accountant. I'm just sharing my personal experience. And this is mostly for the sole purpose of sharing my experience and how I've done things in my business, and does not at all replace the advice of an accountant or lawyer inside of your own business. So I want to give you 4 main tips to really manage the money in your business and to help you as you start to generate revenue in your business, and how to be open to receiving, right? Because a lot of it is, if you're not prepared to receive money, well, then it becomes really hard to actually get it. So the very, very first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you separate your personal finances from your business finances. And this is something that can feel hard or weird, especially when you're starting and you're just like, but I've invested a lot of my personal finances into my business to get it up and going. And that's normal at first, but you want to make sure that you have separate accounts. And so you want to get a business bank account, a business credit card, all that kind of stuff, so that you can know where you are investing in your business or if it's your own money. And so you'll need to have the EIN number, which is kind of like a little social security number for your business. And it depends kind of on what type of business you have. There's a lot of different ways that you can legally set up your business, and I can link to some of resources. I actually listened to a podcast about this on my friend Mary Catherine Johnson's podcast, so I will link to that show here. But I think it's important to consider, like, okay, what type of business do I have? Because that's going to depend tax-wise what you're going to do. And I know these are not sexy topics by any means, but it's really important that you know that. So if you set up your business as a sole proprietor, that means the business is in your name and you can still get an EIN number, but the business is in your name. So I think you filed taxes together. Again, I'm not an accountant, but you consult with an accountant on that. Another way you can set up is either as an LLC or an S Corp. And again, not a lawyer. So you want to definitely check out this podcast that I'm going to link to so that you can decide what's best for your business and you can get some resources to help you set that up correctly in your business. That legal stuff and the financial stuff, you got to have that in place before you make a single dollar. Okay, so that's a little spiel on that. So even to set up a business PayPal account or your Stripe account to receive money, you need an EIN number, which is that social security number for your business. And so that's why I have to talk about that first, because it's really important to have a PayPal business account and to have an account through an actual bank as well. You want to have both. One mistake I see entrepreneurs making is that they use their PayPal account kind of like a checking account. And that kind of leads to a big problem. And that leads me to step number 2. You want to make sure you're paying yourself. So if you're using your PayPal account as a checking account, what you're basically not doing is paying yourself. And so it's important for you to section off a chunk of money to pay yourself. And you can decide to do that as a percentage of every client you sign on, or you can decide to do that as a set amount every month if you're starting to get some regular income into your business. When you have that percentage, anything that you make over that, you can do as a bonus for your salary. And another thing to remember is that you want to get used to the flow of paying yourself. So the money goes from the PayPal account to your business bank account inside of a bank, and then you pay yourself. And when you get into that flow, it starts to feel really good. You know, working on your business, you're working so hard. And if you're not paying yourself, it can be really difficult to keep going. This is one of the things that can hold you back from making progress because you're like, I'm doing all this work and yet I'm not paying myself. Or, you know, you pay everyone else first. You pay the VA and everyone before yourself. And so it's really important to set up an amount, a percentage of every client you sign on or every dollar that comes into your business. And the third tip is really to start saving a little bit for taxes. So when you're in business for yourself, you don't have taxes deducted like you do in your paycheck in a corporate job. And so what I do in my business is I set aside 30% of everything I make for taxes. And if I get to keep extra once I file, that's awesome. And if not, well, then I'm glad I had that, right? But a mistake that people make is that they aren't saving for taxes. And so when tax season comes, they're trying frantically to make money to pay taxes. And that money also needs to have taxes paid on as well. So just remember to set aside a percentage of money for taxes, a percentage of money for yourself, and then the rest you can reinvest in your business, or the rest you can use for a course you want to take or anything like that. And know too, like when I started, like, yes, I made investments in my business that I paid for on my personal accounts, right? I mentioned about how when I first hired a coach, I did not have the money. I invested $5,000 on a coach that I did not have the money to pay. And in fact, I had gotten some seriously large medical bills, around $500,000 in medical bills. And what I realized is that if there was a chance for me to make that much or even more, it was from my business, not from my 9-to-5 where I was making not anywhere near that. And so I realized that investing in my business was actually really, really good because I could make that much plus more. And I did. I made back the investment on my first coach in the first month of working with her. And I think the reason for that is because I was adamant that I was going to make that money back. And I also had the support that I needed. I had the high level strategy that I needed. And so I invite you not to be afraid of investing in your business. And that's kind of the fourth one. Just remember that money is just a number. It doesn't mean anything if you have debt. I talk about my medical bills. I mean, that's a crazy amount of debt, right? And that doesn't mean anything about me. Do I wish I had no debt? Well, sort of, but my daughter might not be with me right now if I had no debt. And so does that even really matter? No, there's nothing inherently wrong about spending money or any of that or being in debt. It's really all about changing your relationship with money. And my biz bestie, Carrie, is awesome about that. So a huge shout out to you because you've really helped me with my money mindset around this. And she's in the Entrepreneurial Moms group, which I'll link to in the show notes as well. But remember that money is just a number. This does not mean anything about you. When you're starting your business, it's normal to invest in things that, some pan out, some don't. And luckily, a lot of the investments I've talked before about how I took a course on webinars and like my webinar totally tanked. And I bought that course, I think it was now like a year and a half ago. And the funniest thing is that like now, a year and a half later, I'm in a stage in my business where it makes sense for me to do this. And I am at that level, but I wasn't when I started. And so it's okay because sometimes the investments we're making is a lesson for us to walk away with. Like, okay, well, now I know that I don't need to scale before I have any sort of business, right? Or now I know that I need such and such before I can get such and such. And so over time, those investments will make it's an investment, meaning you put money up front and then you will make that money back. And so hopefully the money that you're spending in your business is coming back to you. And if not, I'd love to talk to you about that because that's one of the things that I've been able to do extremely well in my business, besides those couple of hiccups with courses. But I have always implemented everything I learned. And so whether I make that investment back right now or in 6 months when I'm ready to implement everything that I learned in that course, I always make the investment back. And so when you start to have that story, right, any investment that you make, you will make the money back. When you start to use that affirmation, when you start to actually embody that story, you will actually start to live that story as well. So that's just a little mindset hack there. But some seriously actionable things. So if you don't have the legal side of your business set up, go and check that podcast episode out with my friend Mary Catherine Johnson and get your business bank account going so that you can start to receive money. First thing, right? And if you don't have that set up, but you're receiving money through a personal PayPal account, I really invite you to go ahead and do it in the legally appropriate way, okay? And then just make sure you're paying yourself. Pay yourself, pay yourself, pay yourself. I cannot stress this enough. You work so hard in your business and you deserve to be paid for what you're doing. And if you're struggling to even pay the bills inside of your business, then we can chat, right? This is what I do. This is what I'm good at, is helping you turn a profit in your business so that you can run a business as well as pay yourself and support your family with your business. Because there's so many people out there who are just running a business and not paying themselves. And that will just drive you down a really dangerous spiral of burnout and feeling of unfulfillment, as well as not only that, but I really think that you deserve more. And I think you deserve to have both, and you can have both. And then lastly, just remember that money mindset is all about how you look at things and how you have a relationship with money. Know that it's just a number. It doesn't mean anything about you. If you have debt, especially personal debt like medical bills, like how I have, And luckily, by the way, I don't have $500,000 of medical bills anymore, but we had the insurance come through and cover a big chunk of that. But that does not mean that we don't have debt, and that does not mean that we don't have medical bills. We had so many medical bills. I felt like I was dying at that phase of my life. And if it wasn't for my business and for me actually paying myself and actually taking the money out of my business to pay my medical bills, I would not be where I am today. And so that's one of the reasons I really wanted to talk about this topic. Again, I am not an accountant or an attorney or any of those things, but as a business coach, it is my mission to help you to increase the profit in your business and really take these things into consideration. So have an awesome, awesome day. That concludes today's episode. And I would love to support you further if you need further help on this inside of the Entrepreneurial Moms group. Just post any question you have, and I will chat with you there. Have an awesome day. So there you have it, another episode of the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking with my dear friend, Kathleen Coble, and we're going to be talking about how to use Amazon to grow your business. She's a really amazing at using Amazon to grow businesses and has done that for many years, I think around 8 years. And she also helps mom entrepreneurs. And so if you have a product-based business, you'll definitely want to tune into next week's episode. We also talk about collaboration rather than competition, which is a really amazing concept, and how we have collaborated together. She also services mom entrepreneurs, and how you can start to collaborate with your peers in your industry, and how to do that in a way that serves both of you and does not cause any competition or negative feelings. And so I hope that you tune into that episode. So be sure to subscribe so that you can catch that episode. Have an awesome day. Bye.
You've been listening to the Mom Entrepreneur Success Podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Head on over to iTunes and leave us a rating and review. By reviewing the show, it allows us to reach more moms to help them grow their businesses. So head on over there, leave us an honest rating, and I can't wait to catch up with you there. Have an awesome day.